What's going on, everybody? So, the documentary I've been desiring, waiting for, and just dreaming of is coming out today. Uh, we all know Ken Burns, right? Ken Burns has made some incredible documentaries for American history, right? The one that I watched the most is Ken Burns' The Civil War, so much so that I think I bought it numerous times on VHS, DVD, all this stuff, right? The remastered, so uh, you know, and Ken Burns also has one of my favorite lines in a movie of one of my favorite movies of Gettysburg. I'll play that right now.
General, please get down. We cannot spare you.
There are times when a Corps commander's life does not count.
Yeah. So he actually was that courier that went up to Winfield Scott Hancock in Gettysburg. So that was really cool. So a couple of years ago, there was rumors that there was going to be an American Revolution series developed by Ken Burns, right? And it would fit in time for the 250th anniversary, right? And PBS and Ken Burns came forward and said, this is true. And we are launching this on November 16th, 2025, which is today, right? So I'm very, very excited. The whole series is coming out. So it's going to be like a Netflix kind of event, right? They're going to drop I think, is it like 6 to 8 episodes of it? So I'm very excited about it. Now, so before we proceed, I just want to put out a plug about a game that I just launched today on Patreon called The Glorious Cause. Right now, this game is a strategic and tactical based strategy game based on the American Revolution. It's hex based. It's one of the biggest hex based maps ever created. It goes from Quebec all the way to the Caribbean, from Western Pennsylvania to the Atlantic, right? And in this game, the sky's the limit. You're in command. You're the commander-in-chief. You run the strategic portion, which means you can enact policies. You can do things like emancipation. You can do things like the Declaration of Independence. You're going to organize your army, assign leaders to brigades, divisions, regiments, armies. And if you want, build a navy, build blockade runners. So if the British fleet is sitting at like trade routes that go between the colonies and France, you can try to skirt around them. Hopefully, get some supplies and go back and get Washington some needed arms and supplies. And the tactical based, and the way they kind of correlate, it's just one map. So when you're in a strategic component, you see basically everything from Quebec to the Caribbean. You basically click on an army and you move it to, like, let's say Boston to New York, and it starts moving. As it gets closer to an enemy unit, you zoom in. Sorry, that's my son. You zoom in and you can deploy your troops. So there's nothing that's going to be auto-generated. It's not going to be like procedural or anything like that. The game is basically going to take the hex-based map. You can play the whole game in hex-based if you want to. But it's going to allow you to move armies much more efficiently, quicker. And in a tactical portion, if you're Civil War generals too, fanatic like me, there's a lot of inspiration in the tactical combat, so you'll see that. Now, we're releasing this Patreon is to help fund the prototype that we're developing. Been out of work, so paying rent, paying bills. I'm also paying the 2D artists that are making the maps, the sprites. We're going to be making specific sprites. We already have a few, but we're kind of dancing around which ones. A map. Now, the maps that we're using are not just like, oh, this is the map of America. No, we're actually going back and pulling maps from that time period. I actually have a map of Trenton that was, I believe, designed by, I think, Washington Spy, that the actual prototype map is based off of. So you'll see, and in the devlogs in the Patreon, you'll see, like, it looks one for one kind of thing. Anyway, this is a game that I've been dreaming of. I've made this design document back in 2007, 2008, and, you know, I've talked to Slitherine about it over the years, and, you know, the response that I got back from Slitherine was that our developers are currently in the middle of big projects, and they are. They have some incredible projects. But if you show us a prototype for this game, we'll talk. So I'm really looking forward to that. I already am reached out to them and to start that process. But if you go to patreon.com/The Glorious Cause, you'll find out more about the game. So that's my plug for The Glorious Cause. Hopefully you join me in this incredible journey to make the most incredible American Revolutionary strategy game ever made. Okay, so now back to the American Revolution. So now the American Revolution is very different from Ken Burns' Civil War. So if you go over here,
The Civil War was fought in 10,000 places, from Valverde, New Mexico, and Tullahoma, Tennessee, to St. Albans, Vermont, and Fernandina on the Florida coast.
now that person that you're hearing is Sam Waterston, right? And, you know, I don't know what it is about his voice, but it just carries such a spirit in it that made the whole thing shine, you know. And it was seamless, right? Going from Sam Waterston to Shelby Foote, right, where his commentaries, and I think. And I feel and I believe that this is the greatest Civil War documentary ever made. Now, the American Revolution is different because you can't use
More than 3
images like
million
this.
Americans fought in it.
And the
over
reason
600,000
being
men,
is
2% of the population.
there was no
died.
photographs during the American Revolution.
Swept
So
across
we
an
don't.
American farm.
You can't do the Ken Burns effect where
American
a picture
towns.
was taken and zoom in, right?
Americans slaughtered one another wholesale.
So you can't do that. You have to change the dynamics, and he explains it here a bit.
Making a film about the American Revolution poses instantaneously some pretty obvious challenges. First of all, there are no photographs or newsreels, and so it forces us to recalibrate, in every sense of the word, how we're going to use imagery to tell a very, very complex story. So live cinematography becomes hugely important, as it always has been for us. But in this case, our traditional aversion to reenactments, we actually had to lean into.
Some of my favorite footage in the film are the very high up drone shots where you're seeing the reenactors, and it's incredible. You could be a bird in the sky looking at what's happening. We haven't worked a lot with reenactors, and these reenactors were extraordinary part of our process.
We have worked with dozens and dozens of groups all up and down the East Coast.
We spent a lot of time with them before we had cameras on to learn from them, and they are fastidious in how they study, where they go, how they move, what they're reading. They get really into it.
We film them very impressionistically. That gives us an ability to see the war but not see their faces and be disturbed by a kind of modern context. And the reenactors give that kind of intimacy.
We would find ways to film the big reenactments that they do every year or two, and then work with small groups of them to try to demonstrate what it was like for a soldier in his group of 5 guys in the middle of a blizzard going up a mountain. And we did that. And Megan.
And I love this. And the reason I love this is because one of my favorites, you could see, I'll link my playlist to it. Greystone Communications with the History Channel, I believe, did the American Revolution back in 93, 94. And they did something exactly like this.
Megan Ruff, our extraordinary producer, just toughed it out with Buddy Squires. And I think it's some of the most unusual live cinematography that we've ever filmed.
there is a kind of mystery and a poetry to the reenactments that helps tell the story and helps fill
And I
in.
love the way they do the cinematography. Like, they blur a lot of the faces because, you know, they want to give you kind of like almost like a not a portrait, but like a vision into the past, you know?
In for the
Not
absence of
focus on
photographs,
the reenactor,
you begin to have a visceral
but on what
sense
they
of what
do.
happened when you see people, just feet, going through mud or snow, or hands trying to warm themselves by the fire or gripping a musket. They help you realize what it's actually like.
A shot rings out. No one knows where the shot came from. That leads to promiscuous shooting, mostly by the British. It's not a battle, it's not a skirmish, it's a massacre.
We shot all over the East Coast and beyond. Colonial Williamsburg.
So I missed that. Had I known that they were near me in Colonial Williamsburg, I would have went. Now the film is coming out in 6 episodes. Now the amazing thing is they're doing a Netflix thing, so it's all going to be released. I think they're 2 hours each, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's going to be a lot of watching, and I'm probably going to starts at my time. So if you go to PBS to this, and I'll link this in the description. You can find out my local station is WHRO, but you can find your local station and find out when it's actually going to take place. So you have the first, the second, the third. So they're in. Let me see. So I'm assuming it's 120 minutes, right? So that's 2 hours. 2 hours. So maybe it's just 6 hours. Interesting. Oh no, it's a total of 12 hours. The whole series is a total of 12 hours. So that is amazing. I honestly am going to try to stay to watch the whole thing in series. I might even live stream it. Comment below if you want me to actually live stream the whole thing with you and just watch it with you, right? Because honestly, this is something I've been wanting to see forever, right? I've been dreaming about this, So instead of Sam Waterston, the person that's going to be narrating is Bill Coyote. And if I can find Bill Coyote.
I did see people broken in my family by the McCarthy period. Adults weeping in my living room, terrified. They lied about my family. They called them spies, called them traitors. And so I was very affected by that.
Peter's father.
So compare that to this.
Sale here in America, in their own cornfields and peach orchards, along familiar roads and by.
I don't know if that was an intentional difference that Ken Burns decided to make. I do feel that there is a little bit
Ideas.
of
I came from a very political family.
more abrupt rather than more relaxed, more not ambiguous,
waters with old American names.
but just more of a historical voice Sam Waterston gives. It gives you that, like, I don't know, a narrator of the past, right? And it also included, famous narrators like Morgan Freeman, right? Now, this series is not without, some, prestigious names, so we'll take a look at them. So a few that pop out is Adam Arkin, right? Sir Kenneth Charles Braga. And then you go down here, and then you have a few like Tobias Menzies, Damian Lewis, which we all know who he's from, right? And then the one that really just Tom Hanks. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now, I have a preference. I don't know who's going to be playing whom. Maybe Tom Hanks is going to be playing George Washington or, voicing George Washington. To me, this is going to be a new take. I'm going to have to make myself very open because for the last, I would say, a couple of 100 years, a couple of decades, and this is the documentary I always watch and I get inspired by, if I can find it, where is it? There we go. Now it's cool. This one is by Greystone Communications and
conquered.
Him respectability.
Like the voices in
Passion governs, and she never governs wisely.
Colonies are not to be emancipated.
All men are created equal, victory or death.
So for me, though whoever voiced them, one character, Benedict Arnold, is actually portrayed by Kelsey Grammer. And there's numerous other ones. I really love who played John Adams. He was the gentleman that was on Boy Meets World. I forgot the name. William David Daniels. And he did an incredible job with John Adams. And there was numerous other roles in the Greystone Communications, American Revolution. I grew up on that. Came out in 93, 94. And I kid you not, at that time I was like 10 years old. And I would watch that series. It was like 6 to 10 hours every day. I kid you not, like every single day. Over and over and over. Because as a 10-year-old boy, I was fascinated with the American Revolution, how like just remarkable of an event it was in human history. There's certain things that you have to watch, and I have the and I'll link my my link to the playlist. It has some incredible guests in there, former NATO commanders, Thomas Fleming, who did incredible books on the American Revolution and talked about and gave so many insights. And I remember when I was going to elementary school and middle school and high school, I would even tell the teacher, I'm like, taxation, representation wasn't really a thing. And then she was like, excuse me? I'm like, yeah, it was purely a slogan. And, she was like, where are you getting this from? I'm like, this documentary from Thomas Fleming, right? And so, those were kind of time periods I was just like, wow, okay, learning history, gets me some creds here. Makes me a little bit of a dork, but I'm fine with that. I joined the Marine Corps after that. Go to, the website I listed here. I'll put it in the description. And it'll tell you the channel it's going to be on, what time, in order to be free. Okay, I thought for a second it might be free. I believe it's paid. You have to pay for it. I think it's $10 a month. I'm going to do it on top of all my other subscriptions, and not making money right now, really. So I'm gonna do that, and I know, it's probably not a good idea, but when I hope they release the Blu-ray 4K copy, that's something I'm also going to do. But I'm totally, incredibly, and so grateful to everyone involved in making this a reality. A dream come true. It's just something that I'm so grateful for, and I thank you to everyone involved for making this reality. Something I've dreamt for since I saw the Ken Burns' Civil War, and I can't wait. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Catch you in the next one.